Hey guys, Miss Not So Cool here, and today we're going to be talking about the Academy Awards and award shows in general, and why are they losing their appeal. Now today I'm talking about this because last week there was this thing called the Oscars. I don't know if anyone saw it, and I believe it was the 89th show. So, this Oscars, I did watch this Oscar, and I have seen other Oscars before this. The reason why I'm asking and wondering if they're losing their appeal is because I feel as though the Oscars aren't necessary anymore, or they don't feel like they're necessary. Let's go back to the beginning. The earliest memory I have of the Oscars was back in 2010. I remember watching the Oscars with my parents. That was when Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin, I believe, were hosting at least. And that was when Avatar, the movie, came out. So there was a lot of Avatar jokes and other things going on. And I remember it being a decent show. I also remember watching the VMAs in 2009 when the whole Taylor Swift Kanye West scandal happened. Like, I saw it live, happen right in front of me. I remember that. It's still one of the it's actually one of the most prominent memories I have of the VMAs because I don't think I've ever seen any other show like that. Even this year, I didn't really watch the VMAs. And last year, actually, it wasn't the VMAs this year. Last year was the VMAs. This year was the I believe it was Grammys. Yeah, I never really paid attention to Grammys or VMAs that much, but I did see snippets of the VMAs last year. I did see snippets of the Grammys this year, but I didn't actually watch them. I just saw them on Twitter and reacted accordingly. As for Oscars, however, and even Golden Globes, I would sit down and watch them, or at least hear about it on my iPad, because I have a TV Go app with Xfinity where I can listen to it on the go. So that's what I did this year. I listened to the Academy Awards, but I actually sat down and watched the Oscars live while it was playing. I missed out like the first maybe 5 minutes or so. I mean, I saw the whole Justin Timberlake singing thing, but other than that, I kind of missed the opening monologue with Jimmy Kimmel. First off, he actually wasn't that bad. For some, I don't know. I'm not a huge Jimmy Kimmel fan personally. I've never really watched his show. Something about him rubs me the wrong way, and when I found out he was gonna host this year, I was a bit like, well, shit. Am I really gonna waste my time watching this? But I was curious. He was decent. He didn't do a bad job. I don't think he did a bad job like Seth MacFarlane. Like, I remember when Seth MacFarlane hosted a few years back, and that was very unfortunate. Like, a lot of these jokes were very hit and miss, and again, I missed out on Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, so maybe there were some hit and miss moments in there as well. But from what I remember, how he was like throughout the show, even putting in some Trump jokes and tweeting and stuff like that, I thought it was decent. Like, just your typical host. Nothing too shocking, like he wasn't that ambitious or anything. I thought it was kind of cute how he pranked the tourists and all that. And, I mean, it had its moments. He had his moments. He left when he had to leave. He didn't overstay his welcome. He showed up when he had to show up and left when he had to leave, which was nice. Most hosts have a hard time doing that. But yeah, I remember watching since 2010, roughly, the award shows around that time and onwards. One of the most memorable I can think of off the top of my head when it comes to the Oscars was when Ellen DeGeneres was hosting back in 2014, I believe. That was okay, I think. I mean, she had some Twitter jokes here and there. She did her thing. I've never seen Ellen DeGeneres before that, so that was my first introduction to her. Like, I knew that she was gay and everything, and I knew she had a show, and I kind of had an idea that she voiced Dory from oh, why am I blanking on this? Oh God, no, from Little Nemo. And like I knew stuff like that, but I've never actually seen her, like, see her shtick or her show. So it was definitely a first time for me, and I thought she was alright. Like, I mean, she did what she had to do. Last year, I believe, was it Neil Patrick Harris or was it someone else? I think it was Neil Patrick Harris who was hosting in 2015, at least. Yeah, in 2015, Neil Patrick Harris was hosting, and he did an okay job too. I actually thought he did a better job than Ellen, because Ellen, I thought she was okay, but she was a little bit nervous and didn't really know what to do. At least that's what it came off to me, being a 13-year-old at the time. But watching Neil Patrick Harris, he looked like he knew what he was doing. I mean, I'm sure he's hosted before. It wasn't his first rodeo. And in fact, I think Ellen also hosted the Oscars last time, so I don't know. I guess she just had an off day. But Neil Patrick Harris did a pretty decent job. Like, yeah, he did go over a top a little bit, but I mean, what you gonna do? It's Neil Patrick Harris. That's kind of his thing. But yeah, Jimmy did okay. Jimmy, he did what he had to do. As for the Oscars themselves, I don't know, the older I got, the more I started to really pay attention to them, and the more I started noticing that, I don't know, they just kind of felt pointless. And it's already bad enough that it's like 4 hours long, roughly 4 hours long with each show. And there's so much commercials and product placements and a lot of forced jokes sometimes put in. I mean, it's very hit and miss, that show. You either love it or you hate it. Me, I'm kind of indifferent to it. Like, I'm leaning towards loving it, but it's mostly because of how I feel for certain films. This year, I didn't see a lot of the Oscar films. This year, I mean, I saw Moonlight, I saw Arrival, I saw Zootopia, I saw Suicide Squad, because that got something at the Oscars as well. I mean, I saw some movies that were being nominated, but I wasn't completely oblivious. Like, even though I haven't seen Lion yet, I haven't seen La La Land, I knew what those movies were about. Like, I've seen trailers for them. I had seen, like, sort of some clips of them during the Golden Globes, so I had an idea of what it was possibly about. This time, I was a bit more prepared when it came to the nominations. So when they were giving away nominations on who was winning for Best Actress, Best Actor, or Best Picture, it didn't faze me or piss me off, because this year these movies were pretty decent. I didn't mind them. Last year, on the other hand, I don't think I had seen any of those movies. I did afterwards, after the fact, but yeah, at the time I had no idea what those movies were. I didn't even know what Golden Girl was. I mean, I heard about it in passing, but I didn't know what the movie was until after the Oscars, so I went out to go see it. And for a little while, it became one of my favorite movies for a little bit. Then I also went to see Birdman after it stole the show a couple years back, and it was decent too. But that's the thing with the Oscars. It's all about product placement. It's all for the show. But I'm just wondering, how long before they run out? Like, how long before people just get tired of it? Like, yeah, it's fun to tweet about it, it's fun to talk about it and conversate about it, but actually watching the show, like, I don't know if they can keep the energy going. Like, at least for me watching it, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm too young to understand it. Maybe I have to wait a few years, become a senior, maybe I'll appreciate it, but I don't know. I mean, I just feel that if you have no idea what half of these movies are, you're not gonna give a shit about the Oscars. Like, I'm just saying that right away. Kind of like with the Grammys. Most of those people I didn't know. I mean, at least for the pre-show, the main show I knew, but still, like, it felt like they only gave away like maybe 3 or 4 awards the entire night, at least for the main show. Like, there was really nothing. I heard the performances were good, like the Katy Perry performance, the Prince tribute, the George Michael tribute, even with the slip up, the Beyonce thing that she did was pretty neat. I mean, I heard things like that happen. There was Metallica and Lady Gaga doing their shtick as well. But I didn't actually watch the show for myself because, again, I didn't know half of the people that were getting nominated. So because of that, I just didn't care. Like, why would I care about watching something where I don't know these people? It's kind of like watching the Super Bowl and you have no idea who these teammates are. Now, I'm not a huge fan of sports, but I have seen the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl has been interesting a few times, but most of the time, I don't care who wins when it comes to the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, I don't like Tom Brady and the whole New England Patriots thing, but I still don't care if they win at the end of the day because I don't know the other team. I don't care about the other team. I don't care about this team because I haven't invested myself in this team. I usually watch the Oscars. Actually, not even just the Oscars. I usually just watch the Super Bowl for the halftime show. Like, most of the time, that's what I'm waiting for. Halftime show and possibly the commercials. But the commercials have been shit for a long time, so it's really only the halftime show I'm waiting for. And even with that, like, if it's someone that I don't know, I'm not gonna care. I know that's a bit selfish of me, like, oh, you should give people a chance. You should put yourself out there, risk it, but again, like, I don't know. Maybe it is ignorant and closed-minded of me to say that, but I mean, I like what I like. I mean, stick to what you know. Yeah, I mean, it's fun to experiment here and there, but I mean, chances are, if you've never, ever heard of it before that show, or before that event, chances are, it's probably a waste of your time. Just saying. Like, for example, I've never heard of the movie. What was it called? I believe it was Vaxxes? I believe it was called the Vaxxes, where it has something to do with autism and vaccination. I don't know. I've never heard of that movie or saw any promotion for that movie. But I have a legitimate source that I follow, quote unquote. They saw the movie, they reviewed it, and my god, it was as bad as I thought it was, just based on the title. So that's basically my fear when it comes to trying out new things. Like, if I'm gonna try new things, I should at least know beforehand a little bit about it. Like, I have to at least have heard of it in order to think that, okay, I'm gonna give them a shot. I'm gonna give it a chance. But if I have no idea what it is, I've never heard of it, nobody that I know has heard of it, chances are I'm not really gonna waste my time. Like, I hadn't even seen a trailer, no promotion. If I haven't even seen a trailer or a teaser or a promo, even if I skipped it on YouTube as an ad, at least I saw it, at least I'm aware that it sort of exists. If I had no idea it even existed, not even in the back of my own subconscious, yeah, that thing's gonna most likely suck. I mean, it's rare. Like, hey, don't quote me on this. Maybe it'll actually be decent, who knows? But it's rare. Chances are, it's gonna suck. But anyway, back to the Oscars, the Academy Awards, back to all of them. Again, this is more on the VMAs, the Grammys, the Golden Globes, the Oscars, all of it, because they're all intertwined. Because again, I've never really seen any of the VMAs. Like, I know half of the stuff that goes on at the VMAs, like there was a whole Miley Cyrus Turkin on Robin Thicke thing, but other than that, I don't know who won that year, because that was the only thing they talked about. I don't know, maybe Miley won that year, who knows? Maybe that's why. But yeah, other than that, I don't know, I feel like the Oscars might, or award shows in general, might just cease to be appealing. Like, they're still gonna keep going. Like, they're gonna milk this cow as far as they could. In fact, I don't think we're that far until the 100th Oscars, actually. I think that's like, because this year's with the 89th, so that would be 10, 11 years from now? Wow, I'm actually closer to living to see the 100th Academy Awards show than I am to seeing the 100th Super Bowl. I think. Don't quote me on that. But I believe that's how math works. Because aren't we on the 51st of Super Bowl? So yeah, I'm not going to live to see the 100th Super Bowl. But I will live to see the Oscars. That is indeed true. Back to the matter at hand. Sorry, I'm all jumping. This is why I can't talk about serious issues. I'm all over the place, and it's uncut and fuck it. But yeah, the awards are just gonna keep going no matter what. Nothing's gonna stop it. I'm just more concerned of how most people see it. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, but I feel like over time people are just gonna get bored of them. Like, instead of actually watching them, they're just gonna wait until the next day to see who won, or like an hour after the show ends, because they usually post who wins during the show. So, and with Twitter, I mean, even if you missed out on the whole Best Picture fiasco that happened in the last 5 to 2 minutes of the Oscars, people are gonna post the shit out of that video. They're gonna put it on YouTube. They're gonna put it on Instagram. They're gonna put that thing on Twitter. So I mean, you're not gonna miss it. So again, why sit 4 hours for it? For the experience? I mean, I'm not gonna talk shit about you watching it for 4 hours because I did it. But I mean, again, I mean, does experience really matter that much? I guess that is the question. Does it really matter? Because in hindsight, it's kind of like with sports again, back to the Super Bowl mentality. Why should I care about this team winning when I have no investment in them? It's not like I'm the one playing. It's not like I'm the one that spent money on them, hoping for them to win for me. They're winning for themselves, not for me. So why should I care if they win or lose? If they win, cool. If they lose, also cool. It does not affect me in the slightest. I'd understand with movies if you had sort of had something to do with that movie and making it and starring in it. If you had something to do with that movie, then yeah, I think an awards show would be awesome for you because you would want to be given that gratitude, that gratification of knowing how much your work is worth. To get an award for being the best actress or actor or have the best picture or best animated film, like that would be great. Like winning an award at a spelling bee, like that'd be great because that's something you worked hard for, that's something you participated in. But for regular people, like just your average Joe, why should they care? They saw the movie, they liked the movie. They don't care at the end of the day if that movie won an award. I mean, yeah, there are some superficial people out there that do care whether or not it's Oscar worthy, because I mean, it sort of has this like status like, oh, it's not Oscar worthy, so I'm not gonna waste my time with it. But at the same time, Oscar movies are a little bit pretentious, like I'm not gonna lie. I saw Moonlight. I like Moonlight. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, but that movie just seems more like a daytime movie to me. At least when it comes to my own household. I saw it at night. I was able to watch it through the night. I don't think my parents are gonna be able to watch it through the night. I think they're gonna need some time to watch in the daytime and fully absorb what's going on, and then we'll probably watch something else afterwards that's a bit more energetic. I don't know, it really depends on the moviegoer, because I don't see my parents going to Moonlight in the theaters to watch this. I don't even know if I would have paid money to see Moonlight in the actual theaters, but I was still curious to watch it, and I liked it just fine, and I thought it did deserve to get Best Picture because it is a beautiful looking film. That being said, it does have a little bit of problems in terms of story structure. I get what they were going for. They were very ambitious, and I can respect them for that, for trying to go that route, but it's a very, is fickle the right word? I don't know if fickle's the right word, but it's a very thin movie. Like, there's not a lot of substance in meat in terms of a plot. I guess same can be said for Fences as well, because I saw that just last night with my parents, so to speak. And there was not much going on in that movie. You were just following this character who has kind of a shitty life. And at least for the first half of the movie, I was able to. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil the movie for you guys in case you haven't seen it, but let me just say that there's no action that goes on in there, like nothing like adrenaline wise. It really is just you watching this person live their life, and it's just the story of their life, how they go by their day. And I will give Fences this, like, it was a pretty warm, well, maybe not heartwarming, but it was a very touching movie, because there were parts where I did kind of tear up a bit. I didn't cry, but there were parts where I did tear up a bit, and it was mostly due to Viola Davis' performance. She is a very good actress, and she surely did deserve to win that award for that supporting role in Fences. She did an outstanding job. I believe she did a little bit better than Denzel Washington, so that could be why she won and he didn't. But who knows? I haven't seen Manchester by the Sea yet. Who knows? Maybe that's an actually good movie as well. But like I said, I haven't seen other Oscar movies yet. I will eventually see them when I get the chance. I'm really hoping I'll get to see La La Land, because that's available now. So I can watch that at home. I'm not sure if the others are, but I'll wait until it gets available. But back onto Moonlight, I just realized, like, despite the fact that not much happens in there, it is a better film than Boyhood. Granted, I've never seen Boyhood, but from what I've heard, Boyhood, even though you actually see the character, the main boy, grow up throughout the film, his character doesn't change. He's still an annoying piece of shit throughout that movie. At least with this character, you kind of, even though you can't relate to the character in Moonlight, you can kind of feel empathy for him. Like, what he's going through, the stuff that he's going through. And I don't know, maybe because of how 2016 was like, a lot of people were able to gravitate towards and, like, somehow identify with his character. Maybe not in a literal sense, but in a figurative sense. Like, yeah, you think your life is bad? Well, at least it wasn't like this guy from Moonlight. I mean, that guy's life pretty much got fucked up, more or less. But yeah, that could be why. And that could be another thing why Oscars still have an appeal. Like, yeah, they might be losing it, but in an extent, they still kind of have it, because people are still developing emotions for film. That's just something that's in our nature. That's been in our DNA. We get emotionally attached to these films, these characters, these stories, and because of that, we grow this mild obsession for this film. Like, when we declare a film being great, we want the whole world to know that it's great. And I can understand that, to an extent. It's like having a child win at a talent show. Not only are you proud of your kid to win that talent show, you want everyone else in your neighborhood, as well as your family, to know how good your child was at blowing that trumpet and other things. But anyway, I digress. Still, that's more or less, I guess, how movies are like in a sense nowadays. People still get attached to movies. Even me. Again, I teared up a bit of Fences. And I'll probably tear up again whenever I get a chance to see Manchester by the Sea or possibly La La Land. Who knows? But I think that's really the strength of where the Oscars are out nowadays. Emotional movies. Movies that you can connect to. Movies you can relate to. And that's not really a bad thing, honestly. That's pretty damn cool. And in a way, Oscars are kind of like a whole 4-hour commercial where you get to find out how movies are like, and you get to watch the movies yourself and determine whether or not this thing deserved an Oscar. Now, I'm not saying every person that's picked for an Oscar or every film that's nominated that wins is a perfect film, obviously. I mean, Suicide Squad wasn't a perfect film, but it got picked for Best Makeup. One can argue that that film had the worst makeup, but honestly, it did do a good job for what it won. I mean, it didn't win because of Harley Quinn or the Joker, as many people like to think. It won because of Killer Croc, the crocodile guy in that movie. that was actually makeup, which I had no idea. I thought that guy was CGI, but no, it was actually makeup. Go figure. Who am I to judge? I mean, I legitimately thought it was CGI when I first saw that. But apparently it was makeup, so I mean, good on them. I think it's more or less well deserved. Zootopia obviously deserved to win as well. It was a decent movie with a very decent message that a lot of people could learn from and as well can relate to. And it overall was just a very fun movie. Moana, I haven't seen Moana yet. I'm sure it's good. It's Disney, so I mean, I'm sure it's decent. But I don't think it really had a chance when it came to Oscars because it came in so late in the game. Kind of like Hidden Figures when it was nominated for like Best Picture. I knew that movie was gonna win. I mean, I was happy it got nominated and acknowledged, but I knew that movie was never gonna win an actual award throughout that entire night because it came in so late in the game. At least that's how I see it. In long story short, will the Oscars ever lose their appeal? It's hard to say. As time passes on and people are getting more and more invested in society, especially online, in the social media when it comes to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that jazz, yeah, I think the awards are always going to be around. I mean, they kind of have to be. But at the same time, do they really matter? I don't know. On one hand, they do because in a way I see them as an advertisement where you get to find out about these movies that you've never would have heard about otherwise. So you decide to watch these movies for yourself and check it out. I mean, that's not really a bad thing. I mean, it would be like your friend calling you up in, let's say, 8 p.m. all the way to like 12 in the morning. He's talking about this cool movie that he saw and he's wondering if you saw it. And he's talking about this movie and he's talking about other movies that are similar to it or more or less he thinks are just as great, without spoiling, of course. But he is telling you like some of the plot and telling you how the actors are like in this film, just to see if you're curious to watch it with him. Or her. Or it. And of course, you being friends with that particular person, you're gonna have to check it out because you trust that person's judgment. And I think that's what it really comes down to. A lot of people trust the Oscars. Even people that don't like the Oscars, they still more or less are fickle about their pick. Because people are very picky when it comes to movies, at least in my household. Like, I don't want to watch just any movie. If it's low budget, I can tell just by looking at the trailer if it's low budget. Now, how am I able to figure that out? By being a teenager, by being a child. Like, I mean, as a child, you don't know what's low budget or not because you're a child. You don't have any standards for the most part. So I saw a lot of crappy movies as a kid. And as I get older and I rewatch those movies, I acknowledge that they're crap. And I acknowledge, while acknowledging, I'm able to compare those movies with other movies that I deem are good as well as decent. I saw, let's just say, like I said, Suicide Squad, Moonlight. I know the difference between a movie that I think is decent, may not be great, but decent, and a movie that's I think is decent, but I can see why a lot of people are raving about it in a very positive way. And I think that's really what it just boils down to. Personal taste. And not just personal taste, but standards. I have weird standards. Maybe I get it from my mom or my dad. My dad watched a lot of low budget movie. Like, he has his idea. He usually watches like action-packed movies and things like that, you know. And he usually like watches like the whole Happy Madison Family Squad, like Adam Sandler and whatever is involved in that, like Grown Ups too, cast type. Like, he watches those people, like that's his type of comedy. My mom, on the other hand, is a bit more picky when it comes to that. Like, yeah, she has her own certain taste, and I think that's where I get it from. Like, with my dad, I can forgive certain movies like that. Maybe not those exact movies, but like movies that I know are garbage or I know aren't great, but as long as I get something out of it, like a good time, which is what I did with Suicide Squad. I know the movie's not perfect. I know the movie is all over the place, but I enjoyed myself watching it in the theater. Watching it a second time, it wasn't as enjoyable because I wasn't in the theater. The theater really gave it a lot of character, I guess. But I mean, watching it at home, it wasn't that bad either, because again, I was still with my family while watching it. I'm not sure how I would feel if I would just watch it by myself. Because with Moonlight, I watched it by myself. And who knows, maybe if I watch it with my parents, it might be a different experience. I mean, it will be a different experience regardless, but I mean, a pleasant one at least. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it definitely would be something indeed. But yeah, that's all I really have to say on the Academy Awards. Again, they're always going to be like this, no matter what, and I don't think that's really a big deal. I mean, we have more important issues to worry about, so yeah. Also, for the for those last 2 minutes, my god, I was so shook when that happened. Again, congrats to La La Land for winning all the nominations. I'll eventually watch it. As for Moonlight, saw the movie, totally deserved a nomination, totally deserved to win all that stuff that it got. Even for the first Muslim actor to win that award, congrats on him. He did a good job because he was in Moonlight. He did a good job in that film as well, even though he more or less didn't have a huge part in it. But he did well. So yeah, good on them. And anyway guys, I will see you guys later on in the next video. Stay cool, my friends. Still not good.